So today we're going to talk about how to develop your 2025 career strategy. As someone who's been a career coach for the past 6 years, helping people of all types of backgrounds transition into the careers of their dreams, navigating my own career as a project manager and my 10-year journey and making six figures, all the things, I know a lot about how to transition careers and how to leverage your existing experience to get the role that you desire. So this is actually going to be the first video of really kind of a 12-part series. I'm going to spend most of Q1 making sure that you have the tools needed to transition your career properly. And so I'm literally going to give you the exact strategy that I give my career coaching clients. And so we're going to talk about how to develop your transition plan, which we'll cover today. We'll talk about resume, LinkedIn, interview prep, salary negotiation. If you're an entrepreneur, how you can leverage your experience to get a role back in the workforce if you're looking for stability, literally all the things from start to finish. So this is probably going to be the only series that you need in life to know how to navigate your career. So let's get started. Again, today I'm going to talk about really laying the foundation. And so writing resumes, hiring coaches and resume writers, reaching out to recruiters, applying for jobs, none of that means anything if you're not even clear on where you want to transition into this year or within a few years. And so I'm going to lay the foundation and tell you the 3 things that you need to think about when it comes to career transition, how to find roles or industries that you need to look into, leveraging your current experience and transferable skills. And then we're actually going to step by step create both your short-term, mid-term, and long-term career plan. So get a notebook and let's get started. So let's talk about the 3 general best practices when it comes to career transition. Number 1, it is always easier to transition when you are focusing on roles and industries that you already have experience in. For example, let's say that maybe you are working in healthcare as a nurse. I'm not going to tell you as a coach to go and become an IT project manager for Google, right? I'm going to say, let's leverage all of that great experience that you have in healthcare and let's segue. Maybe you don't want to do direct patient care anymore. So I'm going to tell you, hey, let's look at administrative roles or operational or process improvement or quality and safety roles that are within the health system that you're already in. Let's maybe look at medical equipment companies where maybe you can be a clinical tester or you can be a clinical trainer, educating clinical staff on that particular product, or you're working for a healthcare IT company and you're training clinical staff on a particular software. So I always tell people it's always easier to leverage your current experience, your industry experience, your role experience, and have easily transferable skills. That way, all of your great experience in the past or in the present doesn't go to waste, and you can actually navigate higher salaries and be more successful because you're not starting from scratch. Of course, you can go from a healthcare nurse to IT project manager in Google if you want, but that will, one, be an uphill battle. And I know a lot of people on social media say that you can do it, and it is possible for some, but it is not feasible for most, especially given this job market. It's just the harsh truth. It is extremely competitive. Even for people that ask me about getting into project management, I say, okay, have you managed projects at all? If not, I'm probably not going to advise you to go straight into project management. I'm going to find you a role where you can leverage your current experience, but you can also get project management experience on the side, maybe in one comprehensive role. Maybe if that's an operations manager role, but you're still able to manage projects, get that experience under your belt, get that PM certification, and then segue into project management. And so I always say take the path of least resistance, because again, if you already have great work experience, I want you to be able to leverage that so you can make more money and not have to start from the bottom. So I'm going to talk about in the next section about how you can find roles in industry given your current experience. But again, that's just a general good practice. Number 2 is you're going to want to think about how you need to adjust your current lifestyle so that you are not operating out of desperation, but you are operating out of intention. I did a video that talked about my entire career journey and how I was barely making ends meet financially and how I was making about $40,000. There was this role that came along that was making like a little bit more. I think it was making like $50K, but I had already got my MBA, I already got my CAPM, I was already starting to get project management experience, and I really wanted that next big jump. If I had just moved to that 50K role out of desperation, I would have missed out on that next opportunity that came a few months later that was making 80K. And so I always tell people, adjust your current lifestyle as needed, whether that is cutting back on expenses so that you can have a little bit more wiggle room and you don't feel as desperate to just jump to the next thing that comes along. Whether that is figuring out how you can get experience within your current role. Let's say you are trying to get into project management. How I got started is I started leading projects within the current role that I was in. So if you're trying to segue or learn a new skill set, see if there are opportunities for you to do that within your current company. But regardless, make the adjustments to make your current situation a little more more manageable so that you can move with intention. And then tip number 3, this is where you want to start writing things down. You're going to want to list out all of your previous and current experience, whether that is paid or non-paid. So all of the internships, the volunteer work, the leadership experience that you had when you went to school, all of your work experience, obviously. Maybe you have a business and a side hustle, all of that experience. Maybe if you volunteer at your church or a nonprofit, all of the work experience, professional experience that you have, you're going to want to write it all down. And I want you to focus on a few things. What were the tasks that you were doing? What was the impact to the company? Meaning, how many people did it impact? What were you doing? And as a result of what you were doing, this was the benefit to the company. You were able to increase sales. You were able to raise funds. You were able to increase productivity. You were able to train X amount of staff. So I want you to take all of your experience and write down what you did and the impact and the benefit that it had for that particular organization, person, or company that you were doing it for. And then that is going to help you craft your resume when you have the different versions, but it's also going to help you think about the roles and the industries that you could possibly segue into, again, with the least amount of resistance. Now that you have written down all of that great experience, now let's put it to work. So let's talk about market research. So the easiest way to look for jobs and roles, and potential roles rather, in your industry is you're going to take all that experience that you just typed out, you're going to throw it into ChatGPT, and you're going to say, hey, I'm looking to leverage my current experience listed below to get a 6-figure role in blank industry. Help me understand what roles and industries I should be looking into. Help me highlight my strengths and transferable skills, and provide with me opportunities for improvement. So that's just an example, right? So you want ChatGPT to provide you, like, these are the roles you probably could qualify for. These are the industries you should look into. These are your strengths, things that you should focus on. And here's where maybe you can improve, whether that's getting a new certification, getting a specific type of experience, whatever the case has you. So for example, if you are a teacher, when you throw it in, it's probably going to tell you, okay, well, you can focus on educational and ed tech industry. You can focus on, an example probably would be like some type of training role or learning development role, maybe within the HR department, organizational development, where you're training adults on a particular program, process, or product. That would be an industry that you could maybe look into, but it's going to give you specific industries and specific roles. I always tell my clients, focus on 2 to 3 industries, and then focus on 3 to 5 roles within that industry. So again, take ed tech as one industry and look for maybe 3 to 5 roles that you would qualify for. Take maybe training, learning, talent development as an industry, and then look for maybe 3 to 5 different roles within that industry that you could apply for. That is where you want to focus your time. Don't start going off the rails and just applying to anything that you see on LinkedIn. Again, you want to be able to have a targeted transition plan so that you are getting the most bang for your buck when it comes to the effort that you are putting in to get a new role. So you can do this by looking on ChatGPT, by doing LinkedIn. Again, just do your own research to see what potential roles are out there. Also, let me know in the comments. I can also help you. So if you want to share like generally what you're experiencing, maybe the roles and industries that you're thinking about, I can give some guidance too. So let me know in the comments so we can continue the conversation. But anyway, once you have those kind of 2 to 3 industries and 3 to 5 roles, again, within those industries, now you're going to want to start looking up those job descriptions on LinkedIn. So I always tell people when they ask me how to get into project management, I say, well, look at project management roles within the industry that you currently have. Look at those job descriptions and see what the requirements are. So again, for those roles that you have identified that you could maybe qualify for, look at example job descriptions. See how many years of experience they're looking for. See what certifications they may be looking for. See what software system they may want you to be accustomed to. That will kind of give you a blueprint of the things that you need to grow in and or learn to be able to easily get into those types of roles. So that leads me to number 3, where you're going to do a career gap analysis. So taking the job descriptions of the roles that you eventually want to apply for and taking your current experience, you're going to want to write down all of the gaps. So what certifications do you need to get? What additional work experience, targeted work experience do you need to focus on? So again, you can go to your boss and say, hey, I'm trying to focus on this skill set. Are there opportunities for me to grow in this or have work on different initiatives within my current role or again within the company or whatever that may look like? You may even have to get experience rather outside of your job too. So whatever that may look like, at least have a list of your gaps and your opportunities so you have something to work towards. towards, if that makes sense. In addition to figuring out your gaps and opportunities for improvement, you also want to be able to see how you can leverage your strengths and your transferable skills. I have a whole post on transferable skills. I'll put that below. It's on my TikTok and Instagram. But for example, let's say you are a software developer and you're trying to become a project manager. Well, that's a fairly easy transition. Again, if you are maybe moving into a project manager role that is leveraging the software experience that you already have, right? So let's say that maybe as a software developer, you already have the technical background. So that's going to be a strength that you want to highlight. Most PMs that are technical PMs don't always have technical backgrounds. So that's definitely playing to your strength, having that technical background. But an opportunity would probably be, you're used to building the product, but you're not used to organizing the work around that product build. So you want to start thinking about, where have I helped facilitate, specific projects? Where have I helped, collaborate with different stakeholders and help them gather requirements for a specific product build? Where have I dealt with risk and how have I mitigated those risks? How have I created a schedule for my work or for my fellow team members' work? So all the things that go into project management, the meetings of facilitation, the organization, the schedule management, the resource planning, think about how you've already done that within your role, right? So your strength would be the technical background that you have, and maybe you have done some of that organizational work already. That's what you're going to highlight on your resume. So again, you want to be able to clearly list out what are my strengths and transferable skills that make me competitive, and then what are the opportunities and gaps that I need to work on. Okay, so now that you have done this great background work already, I promise you it is not going to go to waste. Everything that you are creating now is going to help you ace interviews. It is going to help you have stellar resumes in LinkedIn. Do not negate this background work. This is the foundation. It is going to help you for literally the span of your entire career. So now that you have all of your current and past experience, you have that all written down, you have all of the roles that you're going to apply for, again, the 2 industries and 3 to 5 roles within that industry. You've already done your gap analysis, so you have the job descriptions, you know what those roles require, you know where you can brag and hone in on your strengths and your transferable skills, and you also know where you need to improve and start working towards. And so now let's actually develop the career strategy. So you're going to develop your short-term, your mid-term, and your long-term goals, and I'm going to put like a graphic here that you can use to kind of help you create your game plan. So you're going to want to think about short term within 6 months, mid-term within 1 to 3 years, and then long-term within 3 to 5 years. And then you're going to want to break these down into what is a non-negotiable, what is a nice to have, and what is optional. So you can kind of see the grid here where you have short-term, mid-term, long-term, and then what's mandatory versus nice to have versus optional. Then you're going to want to take a few buckets. So you want to think about salary expectations. You want to think about the type of role that you want. You want to think about the company culture that you want to be a part of. So for example, if you're looking to get into a role, maybe you're trying to segue into project management, and you're looking for an entry-level project coordinator role, but you want to be a part of a company where you can grow and eventually become a senior project manager, then you need to be looking for a company where there is potential for growth. That's just an example. So what type of company culture do you want to be a part of? And then what do you want to be your working environment? Of course, everyone is going to say remote, or most people will say remote, but I would say everybody at this point needs to be open to in-office work. But again, you want to categorize your expectations based off of what's mandatory, what's nice to have, and then what's mandatory for short term, mid-term, and long term. So an example of kind of what this career path could look like is, let's say maybe you are in sales and you eventually want to get into project management. Well, the likely next step to me would be to get into a customer success role, because you're moving from selling the product to when people actually buy the product, you're making sure that they're successful within, the product that they bought from the sales team. So to me, that would be an obvious next step if you're trying to eventually get into project management, because within customer success roles, you're going to be responsible for organizing work. You're going to be responsible for managing expectations of your end users and your stakeholders. You're going to be used to managing risk. And so you're going to have a lot of good experience that you can eventually leverage in probably an implementation or a project manager role within the next, I would say, 1 to 3 years, depending on the job market. But that would be an example. So I work in sales now. I eventually want to become a project manager. Short term, let me segue into a customer success role, making at least $60K. And then I'm going to really make sure that I am documenting and getting as much project management experience as I can within that role. I'm going to go for my PMP. And once I get my PMP within the next year or two, then I'm going to try to move into an implementation or project manager role, either within that same product line or within that same company or within a similar industry. Does that make sense? So that's an example of how you can develop your career strategy. So once you have written out your career strategy, both from short term to long term, now we can start with your resume, your LinkedIn, your interview prep, all the things. And so again, having this foundation and game plan will help you know exactly what to write on your resume, your LinkedIn, all the things. So that's what we're going to talk about in the next video, starting with how to do your resume. I'm actually going to do some resume edits live on that video. So make sure that you stay tuned so that you can see exactly how people go through resumes and what they're looking for. And so if you're like, listen, sis, I need one-on-one help, I am offering career coaching services again in 2025, which I'm really excited about. They're super affordable. If you need me to go through literally everything with you, I'll put an example of a career strategy game plan that I put for all of my clients that book these calls. If you need someone to just do it for you, let me know. I have the link below for those coaching calls. But otherwise, if you just have general questions, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'm happy to help in any way that I can. Until next time, I will see y'all in the next video. Thank y'all for watching. Bye, y'all.